Okay, so this video is to kind of touch base on my dating life. Last I kind of read through my profile and then talked about some guys' messages they sent me and gave you some commentary on that. Well, I met one of the guys just last night, and I will give you a recap of where I left off and where we went and where we are. So this is the Pink Isle guy who read through my profile and asked what my thoughts were on the whole Pink Isle thing. So I said, I think that Target is right in making their aisles gender neutral or non-gendered. It would be nice to have costumes that all kids could wear, have Prince costumes too. Girls like to wear, traditional boy things, and if boys want to wear dresses, bring it the fuck on. I'm very inclusive. Be who you want to be happy, but don't hurt others, etc. However, there are some people who need to be told the F off from time to time, like Nazis. And he responded, or Trump supporters. And I just go, yes. And he asked me who I want to be. And that kind of confused me. So I said, when I grow up, jury's still out. And I put a bunch of the, shrugging emojis because I wasn't really sure what he was talking about. And then he said, who do you want to be happy? Although I too sometimes feel like I'm 9 until I realize I have to do taxes, buy furniture, and change the oil in my car. So I responded, I want to be me and be true to myself. I want to make other people happy and share experiences with them and never stop growing and learning. I want to teach others in a variety of ways, and I want to be loved for all that I am and possess and not be taken for granted. It seems that this will only happen via family and friends at this point in my life, but I am a hopeless romantic, and I wait to be shown that this can happen in a long-term romantic relationship also. And then he just put coffee with a question mark, so that was kind of confusing also, but I obviously knew what he meant. But I responded, yeah, that makes me happy too, with those crying, laughing faces. And then, I tried to make plans for Monday and said, I have a workout class, but, I'll be sweaty after and it won't give us much time before. And I was like, damn, I forgot you are far away. And he said Monday would be impossible because he has a meeting and then he'll be running straight from work, but maybe Thursday around 7 or Friday. And he said that he works, he lives a couple hours away. He works about like an hour closer to me than he lives. And, he would get off work at 6:30 and could run over and see me. And, I let him know one of my best friends lives where he works, and Thursday would probably work, but that my weekend were pretty packed. And I'd let him know Monday, but my event probably ended at 7 on Thursday. And so, the next day I let him know the event times and that then Thursday should work. And I joked that if he didn't tell me his name, I was going to start referring to him as the Pink Isle guy, but then my voice to text mixed up 2 of the words and made me sound kind of stupid, but he seemed to have gotten it. And he said, Nick, where will we be meeting tomorrow? And I told him my name, even though I thought it said in my profile somewhere my name, and, brought up the voice to text making me sound stupid thing. And I said, well, I don't know, you can meet me at the event I will be at, depending on when you think you'll get into town. They said, do you want to sit and chill or walk and talk? He said, walk and talk keeps the nerves down, and also I think a phone number is the best way to keep in touch. So then I messaged him that this was going to be my next step, but he beat me to the punch, and then I told him my name, and I took a screenshot of his name in my phone because it says Nick Pink Isle, and then Plenty of Fish, so that I know, and I go, this is you now. I sent him the Facebook link to the event that I was going to be at, and he asked if I needed a last name. I said, nope, this is your last name at the moment. He's like, so I have to earn it, I think. I said, yes, you are not at the last name relevancy yet. He said, got you. Do you go by your full name? which started this whole joke, and I was just like, yeah, I'm Stephanie Badass Hoover, and then I was like, I prefer Stephanie, I'll answer to Steph, I hate Steffi, and he said he'd go with Stephanie, and I said, we just discussed how I feel older or younger, depending on what people call me. He said, fear not, I will address you by what you prefer, which was a poor move on his part, because then I sent him, in that case, Stephanie Stormborn of the House Hoover, first female of her name, the unbroken queen of sarcasm, and the advocate of good men, Khaleesi of the great Mississippi River, breaker of balls, and mother of Tatum. And he asked if we could just call me Guru for short, which I don't know if I was missing something. Like, I don't really like the guru, because then it's like, what am I a guru of? But whatever. And I said, Callie, which would be Collie, but Callie would work for a short way to say queen. And so then he sent me my whole name thing back, which was kind of funny but unnecessary because I already did the name thing, so you don't need to copy and paste it. But whatever. And then I said, Annie with some laughing faces. And he says, I'll go with Stephanie, shorter and easier to type. And I let him know that I'd probably be dressy Thursday because I have to dress professionally for my job. And then I was going to an interview for a different job and then going to that event. So I'd probably just throw on some tennis shoes. And he talked about what he was wearing and said he'd look sweaty and disheveled, asked if he should dress up, and I'm like, oh God, no, and I'm sure I'll look dressily shitty by the time I see him. So he was going to do a black t-shirt and, assumingly pants. Then we talked about going to bed, see ya, peace. Then I said, I got foundation on my shirt, so I had to change, so I won't be that dressy, no fear. And then he forgot to grab his shirt, so it was just, kind of funny, like, oh, we both screwed up our outfits, blah. Then I talked about my shoes and how they were super high heels and they were hard to walk in and kind of hurt my feet. And I'm not normally that girl, but these shoes have a taller, thinner heel than the similar pairs that I have in them. So I didn't really realize it till it was too late, and I do love wearing them and the way that they look, but I just, gets to be a pain after a while. And then I talk about changing recently, and how, like, I normally am not like, ooh, I want those shoes that are gorgeous but are going to hurt my feet. But I think it's because of all the other jobs I've had and being in school for, like, 7 years and just wanting to look nice, having a reason to dress up. I mean, you can always dress up before, but when you have a reason, it's a little bit more fun, for me anyway. So I kind of give him the rundown and how I like to dress up in general, like even like cosplay stuff. I love Halloween and all that, so, the shoes really give you that certain look, at least for me. And I love it. I'm talking about online shopping a little bit. He got a 40s vibe from the picture of the shoes I sent him. Then I let him know right before my job interview that I was going to be going into an interview. So if he had messaged me, I'd probably not respond. So it's not like I'm ignoring him. I want him to know, like, oh, I still plan on seeing you, and I'm just going to be unreachable for this block of time, communicating. Then I let him know about the job, and he told me that the GPS said he should arrive at almost 8. And I let him know about parking, and then he said, nope, it's super awful. Where can I find you? And then he found me, and we chit-chatted. My friends were there, so we all chit-chatted. One of my friends was really fun. He was giving us all tips on how to pick up people. And it was more just a fun conversation. Because obviously I was just meeting Pink Isle Guy for the first time. and one of my friends is in a relationship. They've been together 4.5 months. Other girl's single, and then the guy who was teaching us how to pick people up was single. He was like talking to somebody. He's just started talking to somebody. And so one of my friends was going to go like, okay, let's do this. Let's figure this out, so that she just have this skill, not, actually trying to pick anyone up. And they scoped out some stuff, and he went and tried to strike up a conversation and then reported to us what he learned about the guys, and it was a huge funny story. We all laughed our asses off. And then I said something about, how Pink Isle guy should go with him to, like, pick up girls and, like, go hit on them, and just, it's funny because we're all here and nothing's really serious, and all of us are expecting to get turned down anyway, so it's just kind of fun. And he's like, what? Really? You'd be okay with that? I'm like, almost everybody is kind of talking to somebody here. It's just for fun. Like, we're all gonna laugh at each other and whatever. And what does he care? He's not from around here anyway. But so he didn't really seem to want to do it. So then when he was gone, my friends had gotten some food delivered, and my friend who was trying to teach us all to pick people up tried to get the delivery guy to put his number in my phone. And so the guy I was with kind of took offense to that, and I just went like, I said to him, I go, it's fine, like, he's just sportly teaching us how to pick people up, like, there's no interest. The number would be deleted right after it was put on my phone, and he didn't, because the guy said that he was engaged. Whether or not he was, I don't know, I don't care. It was just our friend trying to be like, this is how you do it. There you go. And, I've already told you, go jokingly pick up some people with my friend and then tell us of your triumphs and we'll all laugh at each other. Like, we literally just met. Calm down. This is just a sport. It's funny. So whatever. And we kind of eventually got away from that and shared stories and went out and got some food from the food truck and just had a great time. He didn't drink anything. I don't really know why still to this point, but and I thought maybe because he was driving home, but he was staying in town with a friend, so maybe he won't even have one drink and drive. I don't know, whatever. But we chatted, and then he did that thing that I hate, where he found a reason to, like, put his arms around me, and then he, like, stayed like that. Which it wasn't even, like, the arm around. It was, like, both arms kind of around. And by this point, I hadn't eaten since, like, noon. And I've been running around all day, and I didn't like the food truck food. And then my friends ordered some delivery without me, so I didn't eat that food. And so I had 2 beers, and I was like, good. So I was like, yeah, it's fine. I mean, cuddling's nice, but also, when you first meet somebody, and you're out in public, drinking with their friends, maybe not a good tactic, but, buzzed me, was like, okay, whatever. And then, reflecting on it, my friends who were together, because her boyfriend then showed up, and they were all, like, cuddly and lovey, and I was just like, yeah, so is Pink Isle guy. But they've been together for 4.5 months. We just met, like, an hour ago. Okay, whatever. Oh, and in our conversation, by the way, he told me that he has been going to therapy for the past month, or few months. I think he has Asperger's, or, like, maybe he knows he does, like, buzzed me, wasn't sure on the clarification on that, but then I was like, oh yeah, I could kind of see that from the way he was talking about things, and his lack of social cues, and there's just the little things that I know about it from studying psychology, sociology, and just human behavior in general. I used to work with the mentally and physically disabled and was a behavior counselor. So I was just like, oh, okay, I could kind of see that. And then there are little things that, like, were tucked away in the back of my head that were, like, little red flags. You know, the little, like, the toothpicks with the little flags on them and club sandwiches, like flags, where you're just like, let's just tuck that back away when we're not buzzed and we can reflect on that. But he was into something, and I forget what it's called, but it's like just driving a car through cones and stuff like that. And so he was talking about starting up a YouTube channel. I was like, oh, I have a YouTube channel. You're actually on it. And so we were kind of talking about that, but then at one point he said, like, oh, but I want to figure out how to get people like you interested in it, because, you know, I want you to like it too, so you're not bored. And I'm like, now reflecting the next day, like, oh, so you're already planning for me to watch these videos and be with you and do things with you. And, you know, I kind of do that too, that, like, would I marry this person? But we just met, like, an hour or two ago. These are things you can think, but you should not say. Like, I was listening to a second date update on Brooke and Jubal in the morning, 92.5. Love those. Like, I hate it, because when I'm in the car and listening to it, I have to be to work by 8, and they'll just be getting to the reveal. Like, I can't sit in my car, I'll get in trouble. But then if I listen to it on the app, I think I just missed it on the app or something. Like, there's a disconnect. So then I have to wait hours and hopefully catch it on the app or get a hold of it the next day on Facebook. But there was one where the guy said on a first date or whatever, like, he put his hand on her stomach and said something about, like, his babies are going to be in there, and wow, we couldn't believe it. She's like, hi, you just met me. So then, like, that kind of started coming up, like, why, like, don't say this, think it, talk to me about it later. But, you know, socially awkward, I'll just let that one slide, and, you know, whatever. So I'm exhausted because I stayed up really late. I got up and did my work thing and then did other things, and, like, now I gotta get to bed. I can't hang because I gotta go to work again early the next day. If it were the weekend, I could sleep in. Maybe I could tough through it, had a Red Bull or something. I don't know. But eventually I'm just like, peace out, bitches. I'm tired. So he walks me out to my car and we're chit-chatting. And then I get in my car, but I'm kind of sitting out, like, so that, you know, it's giving him the body language of, like, yeah, I'll still talk to you, like, not being totally closed off. But then he made me get back out of the car so he could give me a hug, which then he turned into a kiss. So that kind of annoys me, because it's like, don't ask for a hug, get a hug, and then go in for a kiss. Like, could have just asked for a kiss, which was fine. But then he, like, you know, I get in the car or try to get in the car or something, and then he, like, super kisses me, and it's kind of like almost a make-out kiss, but not. And I'm just like, are we done yet? Like, it wasn't bad. I was just so tired, I was not into it. So, like, he, spoiler alert, it didn't work out. But, you know, he could have waited for, like, a better kiss moment. But I guess he got something. So, la-di-da. Oh, and he had asked me if I wanted to do lunch the next day, of which I was initially like, I just met you. And, you know, so seeing you again so soon, like, let me miss you, let me reflect on it. Like, he didn't even give me any time. It's just like, so when am I going to see you next? I haven't even not seen you, and I want to see you again. Which I get, you know, it's fine, because people do that. I've done that, but, you know, it was just a little too eager. Like, let me say it, let me miss you, let me what. I just needed a minute. I don't know. And I'm freaking tired. And I'm really grumpy when I'm tired. Like, I could not eat for like a month. I don't get hangry. But dude, if I'm tired, I will kill everybody. I'm a raging bitch. I'm like a toddler. Put her down for a nap. And I'll wake up and I'll be fine. So whatever. And so I'm like, maybe, I don't know, message me tomorrow. And then he's even like, so, how do you think this went? Do you think we have chemistry? And I'm like, I'm really tired, dude. Like, I can't think right now. Like, I don't live far away from here, but I want to go to bed. And then, like, ask me at 9 a.m. Which, like, on the dot he did. Like, at 9 a.m. Whatever. So, like, he read a message that I had sent him earlier, later. La-di-da. And then, 9:03, he responds to the message I sent him the night before where I said I'm sleepy. And he goes, hi, Sleepy. I'm Nick. So, how did you feel last night went? So, he was on it and on it and on it. Ready for a full report. And I said, still sleepy, good. I forgot you are in the middle of what may be a big shift in how I'm going to start dating. I'm looking to make it more of an application process with my friends as consultants. Should be interesting nonetheless. Then we kind of talked about that process. I'm still working it out. Kind of to avoid situations like this. Like that my friends can be like, dude, he is wrong for you. Because sometimes you need those people who are outward looking in. Because you may not see the things as clearly. Or they just have different perspectives than you. Like, you didn't think this was a bad thing. Or you did. And, I'm just looking for feedback. So we kind of talk about that a little bit. And I was like, yeah, but I feel like this way would turn people off. And I don't know about this and that. And he's just like, oh, I'd totally be down. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. So then he sends me a picture of him and said, by the way, is this a woman's top? I feel like it's a woman's top. Sent me the picture and I was like, I have no idea. I'm not good with fashion and the like. Then he discusses a deep V and blah, blah, blah. But then he goes, are we still on for lunch? I was like, I never said we were for sure on for lunch. And I let him know that, there was actually food being catered, and he asked if it was staff only. So, this is very important for me, because it's like, he didn't see it as a, like, oh, she doesn't want to spend time with me, or she maybe needs a day, or, he didn't see it as it's like, oh, I can't go out with you, or something like that, or, oh, you don't have to get food. It's just like, oh, well, food's coming to them. So then he's like, staff only. So it's like he's trying to invite himself to come have lunch at my office with me, food being catered. And so that was kind of weird for me too. Like, I'm the type of person that I would have waited for somebody to be like, oh, we're actually having it catered here, you should come. And so if people don't invite me, I typically don't invite myself. It's just kind of how I was raised, so maybe that's where it came from. And so we talked about that for a minute, and talked about, we got coffee the day before because the administrative assistant bought it, and so I'm just like, this stuff happens sometimes, or after work meetings too, we'll get the leftover food. So just, you never know when food's going to show up at this place. And incidentally, it happens a lot. So gotta make sure to work out a lot there. That's why there's a gym in my office, probably. Then we talk about Starbucks coffee and the difference. And then he's like, so when can we meet up again? And I said, well, I've got a pretty full week next week. We were talking about meeting up Tuesday, but then I forgot that I was going to help host this event with two of my friends, but it wasn't on my calendar, and I've just been reminded of it like that next morning, so I was like, sorry. And then then he's like, well, the week after I have these days off and blah, blah, blah. Would it be helpful if I gave you a copy of my schedule? I said, give me the schedule from this date on, because I'll know more about like the second job stuff and all that. And I let him know that I've got my daughter the next 3 weekends in a row starting this weekend because of the holiday weekend, and how this year it's my holiday visitation schedule heavy, and next year it will be lighter, and it's just crazy. And then all of a sudden he's like, I've got that. Where's your office? And I was like, okay, so those little club sandwich toothpick flags are turning into bigger flags. Like, why are you asking where my office is? And I just told him it's on the border of these two cities. He asked me if it was by a certain bank, which I didn't see, and I didn't respond to because I didn't see. And I was talking to one of my coworkers up front about work stuff, and I just look up and I'm like, is that the fucking guy that I met last night? And she was like, what? I was like, oh my God, that is the guy that I met last night, that I went out with. And he came in, and he even kind of like went around the corner from where I was for a second, and so my coworker greeted him because I couldn't see him. And he's like, oh, hey, I figured I'd drop off my schedule calendar yearly thing for you so it'd be easier for you, la-di-da-di-da. And I was like, oh, thanks. Even though he had just texted me it. Like, I don't need it yet for the rest of the year. We're not even dating. We're not even, like, talking. We're texting and we met. Like, that's where we're at right now. Like, there was no reason for this to happen. And I don't work at, like, just, like, a retail place, open to the public, restaurant. Like, I work at a corporate office and, like, do things and greet people and answer phones and, meetings and the higher-ups coming in and out and, oh, hey, this person's in your office waiting for you. And this just not really a place where I can kind of have people come hang out with me or stop by and see me at all. And then somebody else came in, so then he left because, I think somebody else left, and then somebody else came in that I had to help, and I think he kind of was like, oh, okay, well, like, I should go. And I was like, yeah, I'm at work. And you already sent me this information, but whatever. So then he sends me a picture of baby Groot and said mascot, mascot, mascot. And I was like, mascot? And he was like, when Groot was forced into this uniform, the Ravagers were chanting this at him. I was like, oh yeah. And he goes, you want? And I'm like, he is cute. Like, don't get me wrong, I want him. I almost asked him where it was at so I could go buy him. I think it might be Best Buy. We'll see. I'll scour the shopping area and find it myself rather than ask him. But I said he's cute, but I don't do the gifts thing until I'm seriously dating somebody. Because I just have this thing where I don't want people to feel they can buy me, because I've had that happen a lot when I was in my 20s. Guys would buy me all this stuff to make me happy and make me like them, and then when I didn't date them or ended things, it would be like, oh, I spent all this money on her, I bought her this and this, and I was so sweet, and they get angry and bitter about it. So I just rather buy it myself or not have it at all, is where I'm generally at. And so at this point, it's like, we just met, you did the kiss make out thing, you're thinking future things with me already, you want to have lunch with me when I say that, I've got food coming, you still want to come and be with me, and now you're just showing up at my job, and now you're wanting to buy me something. And it's just a lot, you know? Like, give me, what was my old saying? How can I miss you if you won't go away? So, like, give me some time. And then he said, hope I wasn't out of line coming into work. And then I got busy because some of my stuff, I don't get until later in the day. So if I have an easy morning, I usually don't have an easy afternoon. So like right before I got off work, you know, when I got all my shit handled and taken care of and putting away, I said back, I'm just finishing some stuff up at work, and before I get in touch, and before I get in touch with my brother, because he popped into town, told me earlier in the week. And I said last night was fun. However, I feel within 24 hours, things have escalated quite quickly, and we may be on differing levels of dating, interest, and social interaction. I hope everything goes well with the YouTube channel and work, but I don't think we are a good fit for one another. Instead of just like going, oh, okay, he goes, where'd I go too fast? And I was like, he's already told me these things. Like, he even told me the night he was all like arms wrapped around cuddling me that he didn't think I was reciprocating his snuggles. And then, you know, he asked if coming to work was too much or too far or whatever it was. And so it's like, you know these things, so why are you asking me what they are when you've clearly already pointed them out? So then I had to get some help. I have a hard time being nice and honest. So saying things with tact and not hurting somebody's feelings, because my intent is not to hurt your feelings. Unless you're, you know, a bigot or homophobic or racist. I mean, then I really don't care about your feelings, because you probably don't actually have any. I'm just kidding. Racists can still have feelings about other things, obviously. So I said, you've kind of already covered them in conversation. And one of my guy friends, like, basically wrote this part for me, and I kind of changed it a little bit. I said, honestly, you did nothing wrong. I'd just rather not this develop into a relationship and have either of our feelings get hurt. I'm sure you're a good guy, but you're just not my type. Sorry, but this is saying goodbye. And I think that's the best way. That last part, the sorry, but this is me saying goodbye. Because I thought I was already saying that. And he just asked. By the way, he said, best of luck on your search. But this is where I have a hard time dating, is the, hey, you're just not right for me. We just met. Like, we've hung out once. And they want to fight. That's what I don't get. Not like mean fight, but like fight for me, or fight for themselves, or fight for the potential or the relationship. You know, I've told you that I think things have escalated and that we're on differing levels of dating, interest, and social interaction. You know, good luck with things in the future. I don't think we're going to work for each other. Where'd I go too fast? He may be asking just so he can know in the future and not do these things. But I worry about that too, because what if he did the same thing for somebody else and they loved it? And then what if now, because of me, and it didn't work on me, he doesn't do it, and so then he loses a girl because he doesn't do it? Because we're not all the same. The last guy that I was in love with and would have married, we met for lunch. We had a good conversation. It was great. I wanted to see him again. He hugged me goodbye, and I thought that was going to be it. Well, then he kissed me, and it was nothing significant, like just a kiss. Head over heels for him. Right in that very simple kiss. And I was all giddy and dumb, like a teenage girl having our first kiss with a super cute guy. And it was so long since I felt like that. And it was very overpowering. And we texted the rest of the night. I said I want to see him again. And I was like, well, are you, like, I don't get off till 11, and don't you go to bed really early? Wouldn't be past your bedtime? But he was, like, fine with staying up because, you know, he was off the next day. And we hung out, and I stayed the night. We slept together. We were together ever since until we broke up like 3.5 months later. So sometimes it works. I don't want to discount that might be great for somebody, because that was for me and last summer guy. Summer of 17 guy. But I think the big problem is I didn't want to piece things apart, because that's usually when people get defensive and they want to argue for themselves, or, oh, well, you didn't say this, well, you were acting like that, well, you just said this. And it is kind of difficult. I know I'm talking about setting up my dating life as kind of an application process, like a job interview, but it's kind of hard to be like, to do this check-in and feedback right in the moment, and especially for somebody who's not ready to be put on the spot. Like, again, I'm really bad at being on the spot. If I'm just like, there was one guy where I had to Google how to break up with somebody nicely, because all I could think, like, when my friends asked, like, why don't you want to be with him anymore? I was like, well, he's dumb and bad in bed. How do I tell him that without saying that and hurting his feelings? And so I Googled how to break up with somebody nicely. And so I just didn't want to be set up for an argument or a discussion. You know, I could always step aside and wait a while and then go back and say, well, this is what I didn't like. But again, somebody else may like that. So don't change for me because I don't want to be with you. I mean, you make your own decisions. But if he's socially awkward, it's going to be difficult, I feel, no matter what. So he is now kind of referred to as last night guy, because all this happened last night. So he's like last night Nick Pinkile. But it's helping me figure out the things that I need to get out of people maybe before I meet them. Just key points. And then it'll better set me up, I think, for what should also be talked about on the first date and the second date. Or I think, what was I calling them? I wrote it down. I decided to not call them dates. Oh, screenings. Their screenings. And one of my friends wanted written in his profile that just because he messages them doesn't mean he's interested in them, which was really just poor phrasing, because you're obviously interested in them, but just because somebody messages you does not mean you guys are in a relationship. And that's kind of what I think this guy's problem was that I felt like we were already a couple. And everybody that I've talked to has been like, yeah, that's kind of what it sounded like. Like, he already just, you guys are dating, you guys are a thing, and you don't belong to anybody. I don't belong to anybody. Even if I marry somebody, I'm not theirs. We have chosen to share our lives with one another, but I don't belong to you. And if after 1 year of marriage, 20 years of marriage, 50 years of marriage, the night that we first met, if the next day, if 5 minutes later, I'm just like, this isn't working for me, you need to respect that. So there's that. I know it's a little bit more difficult in longer term relationships, and I'm not saying that it's that easy then. I even dealt with that with summer 17 guy. That was a little murkier though, because we were in love and then he broke up with me, and then an hour later he told me that I didn't lose him and he was in love with me and he loved me, and that I didn't lose him and he wanted us to stay together, and I was just crying and then really confused at that point. And then because I didn't say, yes, I love you and want to be with you, and I was just like, how am I supposed to respond to that? You just were in love with me, then you dumped me, and now you love me again, and I'm just crying at work in front of everybody. And then he was just like, okay, well, I'm done with you. And then I'm like, wait a minute, you're done with me again? I'm really confused. And that's what I didn't want to happen with this guy. If he was already this invested in me after meeting me in person and talking to me for a few hours and hanging out with me and my friends, like, what's going to happen for date 2 or interaction 2? And then it's just us. Like, is he going to propose in a month? Like, too much, too fast. I'm sorry, just respect my decision. So that was interesting. And a first. I never had anybody just show up to my job the next day without being invited. So, yeah. Look for the next video when I will be going through some more messages and seeing how those go.